hair, man. All right. Here's the thing about my hair. All right, motherfuckers. And now that we're live, she's going to fucking internet. All right. I cut it myself. I fucked up. All right. When I was in college, here's the thing. When I was in college, I was poor as fuck. So I learned how to come on here, and actually I got really good at it. Then I stopped doing it because I met my current barber, who's a bad motherfucker named Styles. Go check him out, Styles upon Styles, over on Guadalupe and Dobson in Mesa, Arizona. Check him out. Tell him that he lost thank you. But he hooks me up with the real. When I go get cut up again in about 3 weeks, 2 weeks, my hair grows fast. You'll see what the fuck is off. All right. Jesus Christ. Anyway, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Yeah, okay. That fucked me up just so they can start out, just to go. Welcome to our UFC 193 pre-fight show presented by CrossBonesMMA.com. My name is Eddie Law. That is Jesse Rubalcaba, hanging out, talking shit about my hair, but that's kind of how he does. If you guys watch me at the periscopes, I kind of get gained up on after a while, so, whatever. Anyway, of course, we're going to talk about UFC 183 and, the main event, Ronda Rousey against Holly Holm. But let's take a second here to, and I know every show is doing this. Everybody's doing this on television, radio, on the internet. Take a second to kind of talk about what happened yesterday in Paris, France. It's one of the, it blew my fucking mind, dude. When I was at work when it happened, and I was literally setting shit up, getting things ready for today's show and everything, and literally just trying to get out of work, and tweets just started exploding, fucking popping up left and right. Oh, Paris, explosions in Paris, and gunshots in several different places. And it's one of those events, man. It literally took me back to 9/11. Not to compare them, but it really gave me that feeling. You know what I mean? Especially when they said it was in 6 or 7 different places that this whole thing was coordinated. So it got to me real bad, dude. I was real messed up about it, just because I love life, dude, and I hate hearing about evil people killing good people. So just real quick, when you heard about it, man, where were you? What was the first thing in your mind?
Ah, man, it's one of those things. I mean, it's like you just feel like that sense of not being safe anymore. It's like it sucks having that taken away from you. Even though it didn't happen here, but you imagine that happening to anywhere near you. It's crazy, especially public places and stuff. It sucks because then you can't do stuff anymore. Me being a dad and stuff. 2 kids, it freaks me out to go anywhere with my kids now. Crazy ass people, having these crazy ideas of trying to push their ideas on other people by blowing people up or whatever they're doing. It's it sucks, dude. But honestly, it's you just got to look at it as it's one of those situations where unfortunately it might I know a lot of people are assuming that it's a certain class of people, a certain religious group or whatever, but you also have to think you have your extremists in every sense of the word, in any walk of life. So we got to take a measured approach to how people start reacting to these things. In my opinion, I mean, it's a horrible thing, but you can't also just blame everybody in a blanket statement. You gotta pick and choose the word you say in these situations, and really kind of surgically find this cancer that exists in our society at this point, and just get them out of here. They're doing a good job of killing themselves off, but not fast enough.
No, not fast, unfortunately. And just like you were saying, it's I don't know, in the shock of the event, and the shock of this whole tragedy, it's really different. Everyone's mind just goes everywhere, and no one's really thinking straight. You know what I mean? It's really hard as a human being to think straight when the shit hits the fan. So it's I don't know, man. All I know is thoughts go out to the families, to the people that lost their lives, and everyone's doing that whole standing with solidarity with France. Same right here, man. Definitely. Hoping for the day where we can, if not eliminate this kind of evil human being on this planet, because I really doubt you could ever eliminate it completely. At least minimize it or make it so those people that even think about doing shit like that think very, very hard and very, very carefully, knowing that there's good people on this planet that are gonna come get their ass real bad. So
Yeah,
Again, you know,
where's Tim Kennedy right now?
huh?
Where's Tim
Oh,
Kennedy right now, right?
yeah, Tim Kennedy just called Dana White and said, "Hey, that fight with Vitor, fuck that shit. I'll be back in a few months. I'm gonna go take care of business. I'm gonna come back with some, after I whoop somebody ass." So, anyway,
Yeah.
again, thoughts go out to the families and the people that lost their lives, and definitely, standing with Paris here and the entire country of France. All right, moving on here. Let's talk about some more more positive shit. UFC 193 goes down tonight. In fact, I got all this. Wow. Okay. Unfortunately, I had all that shit pulled up, and I hit X on the whole thing. That's the problem with Windows computers, man. The X is on the right. On Macs, it's on the left. And so I just clicked like a wild man, and I hit X. All right. Start over here. I had the whole card pulled up here on the other computer, which is was a great get by me. UFC Fight Pass prelims. The early prelims start 6:15 p.m. Eastern, 3:15 p.m. Pacific time on Fight Pass. First fight of the night. Ben Nguyen against Ryan Benoit, whose nickname is Babyface. Okay, you're not a rapper, dude.
Here we go with the nickname, man.
Dude,
There's a bunch of them on here.
Babyface. Really? Babyface?
Where's Don? Where's Don? Don needs to whoop this guy's ass and take that name from him.
Oh, Don Manos is gonna be here in a little bit. Don Manos, please believe he's gonna take care of that business. All right, but let's talk right away. Benoit, most notably coming off a TKO win over Sergio Pettis at UFC 185, where your older brother Anthony Pettis lost his belt to your boy RDA. Yeah, so that's kind of his claim to fame. But really tough fighter, very durable guy, very strong guy, and he likes to knock dudes out, right? Meanwhile, Ben Nguyen, this is his second fight in the UFC, but he has a nice little fight streak. I think 7 win win streak, whatever. 7 fight win streak, and last fought in at Miocic versus Mark Hunt against Optekin Ozkilik, where he knocked that dude out in the first round. So this looks like and again, when we kill this, we say this every single time, you and I, this is the UFC starting the fight with a bang. Two guys that like to throw and like to knock dudes out, man. So Benoit versus Nguyen, who you got?
It's Ben Wen, by the way. I heard Joe Rogan say that.
Gwen? Like GWEN?
Yeah, Wen. Yeah, I guess the N is silent in whatever place that he lives in.
Fucking South Dakota's where he's from, dude.
Honestly, I have to go with Ben here. I think he's got the better skill set. He seems to have more power in his hands. And Ryan Benoit looks like he's not really adjusted well to this weight division yet. It's his second time fighting in this weight division in the UFC. First time he missed weight, looked like crap, lost to Josh Sampo. Both of these guys, like you said, look for the knockout. That's all they do. I mean, you might as well punch this ticket as someone's getting KO'd, tell the judges not to even show up to this fight. Someone's getting knocked out. But I mean, in my opinion, I think what we have here is more experience versus less experience. Wen has according to the UFC, 14-5, even though you go on some other website called SureDog and he's 13-5.
Yeah.
The UFC already assuming he's gonna win this fight, so they added that win for him.
Yeah.
But I mean, the experience always plays out for me. It's always about the experience. Having been in there before, just seeing the things that Benoit is probably going to try to throw at him, and I don't think Benoit has anything that Wen hasn't seen before. So, I'm going to go with a TKO by Ben. It's going to be an exciting fight, so tune in for that one for sure.
Yeah, and you know what? I like Benoit, man. I like Benoit a lot. What he showed against Sergio Pettis was big. He was a big underdog. Again, I think we talked about in that card too. In the pre-fight show, I think you brought it up. This whole two brothers fighting, or even teammates, but two brothers fighting on the same card could be bad. And then I think the next show we did, you were like, "See, I told you." It was fucking true. But so that might have a little to play into it. Gwen, you're right. Gwen's just slightly more experienced, and I think they're evenly matched. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's definitely the key here. Is that I mean, you might as well toss up a coin and see who's
Hmm.
going to land that first punch. But like I said, I think Gwen has been through the fire a couple more times. You know, he's been in there and got knocked around a little bit more than Benoit. Benoit, you could see, on his record, he's not as experienced. Hasn't faced like the power guys that Wen has. So that's why I'm going with him, especially coming off a seven win streak in a row. Not easy to do. He's just running through foods right now. So and he's got, usually I'd go against him if this was his first fight in the UFC or something, but he's already got his feet wet in the UFC. So I mean, he should be good in this fight.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna go with Benoit on this one. Mostly hoping for the guy to build himself up. A win over a guy with the last name Pettis is enough to get your name out there. If he has a big win, he gets bumped up to the television prelims at least, right? So,
And that's the thing. I mean, what did the UFC see in him that even though he knocked out Little Pettis, they still didn't give him a shot here,
yep,
up higher on the card, So obviously
true.
they see potential, but they don't know what they have yet. And I think that's what they're looking for here. They gave him a good opponent to really test him out in that sense to see where he's going to go. Either he's going to go down, which means off the card, or up and higher up in the card. So.
Yeah, definitely. All right, moving on to the next fight here. The Moonwalker is back. James Muntasiri against Anton Zafir. I don't mind the Moonwalker thing, by the way. That's more original than Babyface. I'll give you that shit.
Uh,
So we got Germany against Australia. Muntasiri got booed at the weigh-ins. To me, that was a little weird because
Yeah, I
it was the
don't
second
understand.
fight in the Fight Pass, and I'm sure it's because he's fighting an Australian. Sure, whatever. I get that part, but Muntasiri is an exciting fighter,
Yeah,
dude. What was the last fight that he had was Kevin Lee, and he only lost. And he lost it by submission, right? But at the start of that fight, you thought for sure someone was gonna go knock the hell out. But
yeah,
3 fights in the UFC, he's 2-1. Lost to Joe Ellenberger at UFC Fight Night 44. Win over Cody Pfister in the second round at Fight Night 60, and then the loss against Kevin Lee at Fight Night 71. So he's not very as you would say, consistent. Meanwhile, Zafir was making his UFC debut in this fight. So here we go with the UFC jitters and all that coming into play. Muntasiri's been there already. Muntasiri's been in tough fights. He's lost. He's won. Um, I'm leaning towards the experience here. But oh shit, Don Manos in the house.
What up?
What's up, dude? All right, let's go. Actually, let's go with Jesse first because Don just got here. We're talking Muntasiri against Zafir in this fight. But actually, Don, let's get your thoughts real quick on Benoit stealing your nickname. What did you think of that?
Fuck off.
He said, "Fuck off."
Yep.
All right.
Chance, you don't do that to me.
All right, Jesse. What do you think of this fight between Muntasiri and Zafir?
yeah, I agree with you, and I think the biggest problem that Safir is going to run into is that it's his first fight in the UFC, fighting in his hometown or his home country, and this is like the biggest card in the world, basically. At this point in the UFC, you have so many eyes on you, so many people are going to be watching for the first time. Apparently, 70,000 people in the stands, which I don't think they sold out, did they?
I haven't heard anything about them selling out. Let me find out for you real quick.
I don't think they did, but still, that's a lot of people to fight in front of. I just see a lot of things, going against Safir here. Even though, five fight win streak coming into this fight. The other thing is that both of these guys are actually pretty even. They both have 3 knockouts to their record, 3 submissions to their record. So I mean, it's going to be an exciting fight in my opinion. I think, Safir already got that loss out of his way, so he's not going to be kind of hesitant. I think he's going to try to really put on an exciting fight. But like you said, I just think Muntasiri here has just the better skill set. He's a Taekwondo silver medalist for the Pan Ams. I think it was like 2007. So he's got skills. He's got the ability to perform in front of big crowds. So I think Muntasiri is going to take this.
All right. Yeah, I can see it. Well, yeah, I can see it as well. Real quick, shout out to Andy. What's up, dude? And then Andy says, everyone with a hipster beard or mullet will lose. So now we kind of know at least a couple picks of Andy's there. All right. Don, what do you think of this fight, man? We got Muntasiri, who's well, the more experienced of the two, but he's a guy who comes to throw down. We don't really know very much about Anton Zafir, who's nicknamed the Professor, by the way. And although he does have a 5-fight win streak outside of the UFC, last fight in March against some guy named Ryan Haketa, who he TKO'd in the first round. So Don, who you got in this fight?
Kind of like what I guess what y'all were talking about before I got here. It's the whole experience factor. If you've been in the UFC before, you know you're not going to come in there heart beating, ready to go. It's going to be a normal day, and I think Zafir is going to come in with a little too aggressive, and he's going to get hit, and he might get knocked out, but I think Muntasiri is going to win.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one as well. Both of you picked Muntasiri. I'm going with the experience. I'm going with the guy that's been there, and I'm going with I've gone against Jesse's UFC jitter picks before. I'm not doing it this time because I usually lose when I do that. So I think Zafir gets the jitters, and Muntasiri comes in and TKOs him at I would say like second, third round. So yeah. Anyway, moving on here. Let's talk about the Australian against the Englishman, Richard Walsh. Filthy Richard Walsh, okay, against, the Steamroller. He calls himself the Steamroller. Stephen Kennedy. All right, Stephen Kennedy, 22-7 according to the UFC. Richard Walsh, 8-4. So, already a pretty decent experience gap in between those two. Richard Walsh, or Stephen Kennedy, mind you, has had one fight in the UFC, fought in June of this year against Peter Sabata, who choked him, being a rear naked choke in the first round. So that's not good for Steven. But Richard Walsh coming off. Wow. Okay, Richard Walsh, a 2-fight losing streak. I don't know how I missed that in my research, but 2-fight losing streak. Lost to the split decision at Hunt versus Nelson. That's UFC Fight Night 52. And then at UFC 184, also a Rousey card, lost to Jovan via knockout in the first round. So both guys coming off not looking so good. Richard Walsh, 26 years old. 6 feet tall, and Mr. Kennedy, 32 years old, 6 feet tall. Seems like a pretty even fight to me, but Jesse, who you got in this one?
Yeah, I mean, you look at the quality of losses here, and I think Richard Walsh looks like he got thrown to the wolves a little too fast. I mean, he lost to Kunimoto, and then he lost to Joban. Two guys that in their right, they're really, really good. They're really experienced professionals already. The thing I think that Richard Walsh here has the edge is he has the experience of just competing more. He's got 10 Muay Thai fights, amateur. Both of these are amateur, boxing and Muay Thai, undefeated in both of his amateur careers. 6-0 in boxing, 10-0 in Muay Thai. So I mean, and he's getting really good at jiu-jitsu. So I mean, I think he's got the better package put together. He's just running across Kennedy, who's got more experience. But I just see him having these losses against higher competition, and I don't think Kennedy is that higher of a level of a competition. I think this is the type of guy that Walsh runs through and uses all his skills to his best ability and beats him. So, I mean, even though Kennedy has the more experience, 22 wins, 7 losses, I still think that Richard Walsh is going to come in here and take this victory.
By the way, real quick, I'm looking at Twitter, and people are actually tweeting out betting odds. This is weird. I apologize. I don't even want to talk about that bullshit. Anyway.
How bad is it?
No. This guy just tweeted some bullshit. It looks like spam to me. About this guy says get on this now. It says get 3-1 odds on Ronda Rousey to beat Holly Holm at UFC 193. Offer enhanced from 1/16 for new Betfair customers. Yeah, I don't like that kind of shit. Sorry. Anyway, Don, who you got in this fight, man? We got the Englishman against the Australian, and which is funny because actually no, they're Australians. Both of them are Australian. My bad. Yeah. No, it's not. Stephen Kennedy's English. What the fuck, UFC? Work on your website, man. You either got it wrong or Sherdog is that wrong. Anyway, Don, who you got, man?
I got Filthy Rich, man. Filthy Rich, mostly because of the nickname and the hipster beard. But yeah, the higher competition, though, for real. Like, you look at Steve Kennedy's loss, really doesn't stand out as like, oh, I know that guy. Mm-hmm. But if you look at Alan Joban, who is probably the future of that division, that's a good name to lose to, especially with, like, I believe it was like that spinning elbow or something like that.
It was nasty.
ridiculous. But
Elbow and a
yeah,
punch, if I remember.
yeah, Filthy Wall, she's gonna be in his home country. Why not? Why not just why not say him? Because I'm gonna bet a lot against some Australians tonight, but I think Filthy Rich might have a chance because he's gonna put all his beard power into his punches.
Beard power.
Beard power.
All right. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna go with I'm going with Richard Walsh as well. I don't have a hard time, but in fights that are this close, as far as me picking them, I do tend to side with a hometown advantage. I did pick against Aslan Daly in Ireland, and that didn't work out so well. So, but yeah, I'm going with Filthy Rich on this one as well. Okay. The I guess the featured Fight Pass prelim is against between the guy with the mullet, so we already know who Andy likes on this one, and Daniel Kelly from Australia. The guy with the mullet, the creepy weasel, Steve Montgomery, famous not really for fighting at Tough, but for having a seizure at Tough because he cut weight incorrectly. So luckily he's okay, he's healthy, he's alive, he's good. But actually he might have had one fight already. Did he fight at the finale?
Yeah, he lost by knockout.
He got what?
He got knocked out by some guy whose first fight was in the UFC.
That's right. When I was looking him up before, when we were doing the pre-fight show for that card, I remember watching his fights on YouTube, and when we saw him actually fight on the on the card, he fought exactly like he did back in like the small promotions and like when how he fought in Titan FC and all that. Yeah, Tony Sims took him out in the first round, hardcore knockout. Just punches, just So it's what, Steve Montgomery's gonna get knocked right out of this. I'll go first. Steve Montgomery's gonna get knocked right out of the UFC in this fight. There's not gonna be no waiting for a third loss, none of that shit. Daniel Kelly's gonna take him out in the first round. I'm gonna say submission on this one. But meanwhile, Daniel Kelly coming off a loss to Sam Alvey, that TKO win in May that got everyone talking about Sam Alvey being a bad motherfucker, right? And being just a tough dude. So I'm going with Daniel Kelly. Don, who you got?
I'm gonna go with the same. I mean I dig the mullet. My dad had one back in the '90s, but yeah, we're not gonna choose him. But Daniel Kelly, his judo is just too good. I believe he's like an Australian judo champion. So I see him slamming him, taking in a submission, and knocking the creepy weasel out of the UFC for sure.
Definitely. And okay, this is gonna take me some explaining. So I'm gonna explain it real quick. We have been talking about Australians, and Andrew Reid made a joke. It was a joke. I think it was a joke about Australians all being criminals. And so he says this. He tweets over, also, all convicts except Jake Matthews will get beaten. So all Australians are going to lose except for Jake Matthews. He's fighting a Mexican. So we might not see eye to eye on that one, Andy, but we'll see. We'll find out when we get to that pick. All right, Jesse, who you got between the creepy weasel and Daniel Kelly?
I have to agree with you guys. Basically, Dan Kelly here, fighting in his home country again. That's a big thing. 4-time judo Olympic participant, and I say participant because he's never won anything there. The best thing he's done at the Olympics was in 2004, where he placed 7. Yeah.
Damn.
I guess that's good.
Well,
couldn't have been 3rd or 2nd or 1st, but. He's been to the Olympics 4 times. He knows how to compete. The only thing I hate about Dan Kelly is that he doesn't show his judo skills in the octagon. Every single fight he's been in, he just falls in love with his hands and starts throwing, thinking he's like a kickboxer / boxer / I don't know what he thinks he is. He needs to get back to the basics. I think I said that last time when he fought Sam Alvey, and I had to pick against him. Because I said that unless he falls back into using his judo that he's so good at, he's not going to be able to do anything to Sam Alvey, and he got knocked out. So I mean, here the only thing is that he's got the better skills, and the creepy weasel, in my opinion, just doesn't have that extra edge that he needs to really beat Kelly. Kelly's been competing for so long, That's the other thing. I think that we'll probably see the end of Kelly's career here. He's old. I mean, I think he's like 36 or 38 or something like that, isn't he?
With Daniel Kelly?
Yeah.
He's not young, that's for sure. He's pretty old, yeah.
So I mean, I think what we're gonna see here is he's gonna get in there, take this win, 38. And hopefully, 38. He's way too old to be doing this, to lacing him up and getting in there, in my opinion. I think, his time has passed. He just needs to take this win, right into the sunset or, right into the desert of Australia with all the dangerous animals out there.
And Steve Montgomery, 24 years old, so there's gonna be whooping on the youngster here, the way we all see it, I guess. So, all right, moving on to the next fight. If I can pull up this shit, there it is. Next fight, another Australian against an American, Richie Boss Bakulik against Danny the Gremlin Martinez. Bakulik, I guess, coming off a loss to Louis Smolka via knockout in the third round at UFC Fight Night 55 back in November of last year. So it's been a minute. It's been an entire year. So he's been fighting a year. And before that, a win over Songchaan Roldan Songchaan via decision at Fight Night 43. And then his first fight in the UFC was a loss to Justin Scoggins in the first round TKO at that Bigfoot versus Hunt fight back in December 2013. Meanwhile, Danny Martinez is literally an inch away from being given his walking papers at this point. 3-fight losing streak since he's gotten to the UFC. First fight was against Chris Carriazo, decision loss at Faber versus Barral 2. Lost to Scott Jorgensen via decision at Fight Night 42. And most recently in June, lost to Serwan Kakai via decision at Machida versus Romero. So two guys that need a win, but I would say Martinez definitely needs it more than Boss does. So Boss likes the ground game. Martinez likes the knockout game. This is I hate to say it, the classic striker versus grappler fight, but it kind of is, right, Jesse?
Yeah. I mean, you're right in that sense. This is exactly what that is. It's geared to hopefully get some excitement out of this fight, and I don't think we're gonna get that. I think we're gonna get Vaz getting the submission here. He just has the more well-rounded game. He has more ways to get it to the ground than Martinez has to keep it on the feet. Martinez really doesn't show that he has the ability to really fight off takedowns, get back up. He doesn't really show a lot of that ground game that he really needs in this fight. And you look at his losses. I mean, they're not bad losses, but I mean Scott Jorgensen, his better days are way behind him. Serwan Kakai is still a guy that coming up, still got lots of potential, but still not a guy that when you lose to, you don't look good. It's not a good way to. It's not two guys that you could say, oh well, they're on the rise, they're going for a title or anything or doing stuff in the division. Not really. So it's really bad losses. Like you said, he's on his way out. I don't even understand how he still is here, going on a 3 losing streak. That's surprising to me. But again, 17-7, Sherdog. So apparently, the UFC taking a win away from him. So I guess they're assuming he's gonna lose. I don't know, man. UFC needs to get their crap together. But I'm going with Richie Vakulik here, submission win.
All right, Don, what do you think? Who wins between these two guys?
Vakulik, I don't know how to say it either, but I see Martinez, because he's on a 3-fight losing streak, he's going to come in there and just swing for the fences, trying to get that knockout, and there's going to be a simple duck, and then he's going to take him to the ground. Vakulik, like you said, overall likes the ground game a lot more, and I just see it being kind of like one of those. He sits on him for the first round, gets him really tired, takes him down the second, submits him, and it's over. That kind of fight is what I see happening tonight, which I wouldn't be mad about either way.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. First, Jesse, I agree with you. I don't know how Danny's still in the UFC, but he's got one more chance somehow. But he's in. And then Danny Martinez is going to win this fight if he's able to get a TKO win in the first or second round. I'm with it. If Richie can outlast him by the second, third round, we can see some kind of submission. But I'm going with Martinez on this one, because he's got that, there's no pressure on him. You know what I mean? He knows if he loses this fight, it's over. Yes, that's exactly why. And my fellow Latino, I got to go with that guy, okay? Shit. No, but I'm going with Martinez. I think he's going to come in with just no fucks given and throw every bomb he has in his arsenal and hope that it lands on Richie's chin and just ends the night for him. All right. That is the first fight on the FS1 prelims. By the way, the FS1 prelims go live 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. So it's going to be kind of a late card for a lot of people. But regardless, that's when it starts. Right, moving on. The next fight, Anthony Perosh, the Hippo, against Guillaume Biante. Obviously, both these fellas made weight yesterday. The Hippo is 15-9, according to, I believe, both organizations. Yeah, 15-9 according to the UFC, and Beyonce 13-6. Hippo is a submission guy. He's a ground guy. It's what he does. It's what he likes. And when he loses, it's usually by knockout. So he's fought in the UFC for quite a while, right? Has wins against Vinny Magalhaes, lost to Ryan Bader at Fight Night 33, which explains why we haven't heard of him for a minute. But he's a ground guy. Beyonce, meanwhile, is a striker for the most part. He lost to Tom Lawler via knockout or TKO in the second round at Dillashaw Round 2. If we remember, I was shocked shitless that Tom Lawler was able to finish that fight. Completely shocked. Before that, he beat Corey Anderson at Machida vs. Rockhold and Sean O'Connell at Fight Night 43. So both of these guys have experience. Not only that, they got plenty of experience in the UFC. So Jesse, who you got?
I think the key thing that I saw here was that both of these guys have a common opponent, and it's Sean O'Connell. And judging by how each of them did against Sean O'Connell is where I went with my decision. And Volante is the one that won that fight. He used his striking and his ability to really work the ground game and everything and work around that. And he was able to really implement his game plan. Perosh, I mean, we've seen him just get utterly destroyed before, and I just see him getting KO'd here by Volante. He just seems like he can't really take a lot of punishment like he used to. I mean, before, you look at his fights before. I mean, I don't know if that's why they called him the Hippo. They might as well called him the Tank or something, or the Rhino, because he could take some punishment, keep coming forward, and really put like a different type of pace on people. Where basically it was like the Homer Simpson syndrome, where they punch themselves out, and then he'd go over, lay on them, and choke them, or hit them a couple times, and they'd go out because they were so exhausted from trying to beat him to death. But I mean, for me, like, that's starting to go away for him. And I think if Volante can get one of those big, heavy shots on him, he's going to put him away. So that's how I see that going.
All right. Don, this guy's Perosh, 43 years old, 13 years older than Beyonce. You think it's a factor in this fight?
Hell yeah, it is. I mean, Volante, it's not just that. Volante trains over at with Chris Weidman. I know Nick wouldn't like to hear that, but yeah, he trains with Chris Weidman and all those big old killers over there. So he's used to wrestling. I mean, Perosh is a Hippo because he lays on you. It's fitting he fights at UFC 193 because he's 193 years old. He's not going to win this fight. I just see Volante stopping that takedown, stopping any submissions, and killing him. Hopefully he doesn't die in the ring, but he's going to hit him hard enough to where it looks like he's dead, kind of like what he did in the Ryan Jimmo fight.
Definitely.
Oh, the Ryan Jimmo fight. Ouch.
Yeah, man.
That's the second fastest knockout, or is it the fastest knockout now?
7 seconds. I don't know if it's fastest, but
Dana White says it's the second fastest. The fastest one he gave to Chan Sung Jung and Mark Hominick.
Really?
Dana White doesn't want to give Ryan Jimmo any credit. Okay, let's just be honest about that. So, although Ryan Jimmo to me is the other Cal Kingsbury.
Shut up! I like that guy.
we should know Kingsbury all the time. That's why.
I don't know. Like, I had a lot of hope. I used to watch him. What was it? No, it wasn't RFA. What was he was a champ at one of those.
MFC.
Yeah, there you go. And his fights were just brutal, dude. He was just one of those guys that you just knew. If you saw his name like as your next opponent, you were like, oh shit, better get like the doctor ready and have like just everything ready, because I'm gonna lose a lot of blood. My face is gonna look all jacked up, and I better have a lot of ice ready. Like, his fights were brutal. I don't know if it was just they brought him up way too fast in the UFC or what it was, but man, like, I still have hope that he can come back and make a run, because he has skills. I don't know what happened here in the UFC.
All right, moving on here. We got. Oh, actually, by the way, I'm going with Beyonce as well. Too young, too good. And Perosh is kind of on his way out, I think. All right, moving on. We have our next fight here between Kyle Noke. Is it Noke or Noki? Anybody know?
Nope.
Noke. All right, thank you. Kyle Noke, the Australian, against the Polish Peter Sabata, who, by the way, we talked about a few minutes ago, talking about his win over Steve Kennedy. So, yeah, 21-7 and 1 for Noke. Sabata comes in at 15-4-1. Noak's last fight was against was a win over Jonathan Webb at Fight Night 65. Before that, lost to Patrick Cote April 2014 at the Ultimate Fighter Nations finale. That's right. Via decision. Sabata is on a nice little win streak. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 fight win streak, but 2 in the UFC against Powell Pollock and then Steve Kennedy submitted in June. So I lean towards Sabata on this one, but I don't know. I think it's a harder pick than that. But let's go with Don here. Who you got?
I got Kyle Noak. It's the quality of opponents he's faced recently. If you just look at the time he's been in the UFC since he was, I believe, on the Ultimate Fighter, he's just had a good amount of people that he has faced. And not only that, he's over at what I don't remember Donald Cerrone's name of his ranch. Oh,
Bad Motherfucker Ranch?
Yeah, he trains at Bad Motherfucker Ranch and stays there with him. So if you can have a training partner who's going to push you to the limits, it might as well be Cerrone. So I just think just his constant sparring with Cerrone at that ranch, working with Jackson Winklejohn, knowing that there's a championship fight that you're training with one of the challengers, you've trained your damnedest for this fight, and he's going to be fighting in Australia. So all that combined, I see him living up to his nickname KO and getting it.
All right, Jesse, who you got, man?
Hey, Eddie, just keep calling him Noki, and maybe Andrew Reed will lose his shit and start, crapping on you. I want to hear him just go crazy.
Who, Andrew Reed, you said?
No, I just imagine him, trying to correct you. It's not that! Ah!
No, if I was Fred Kirby, he would definitely go off on pronunciation and spelling. But since I'm not, I think he'll be nice to me. But anyway, yeah, go ahead. Who you got, man?
I gotta go. I agree with Don here in a lot of the things that Noak has the training, has the camp, has the experience. The problem is that he's so inconsistent. You don't know what Kyle Noak you're gonna get. Every single fight, it's a different. And to me, it almost seems like he doesn't even know himself until he gets in there, starts moving around a little bit, and then he either feels like he feels it that he's better than the opponent and he puts it together, or he's just like, all right, I'll pack it in and just kind of move around a little bit, get teed up a little bit, throw a couple punches, and then call it a good night. So and the thing is that for Sabata, I mean, it's his second time in the UFC. His first time he went, I think it was 3 straight losses, and then he was out the door. So this is his second opportunity in the UFC, and I don't think he's going to waste this opportunity. Whatever he did to change up his inconsistency in the past, I don't know what it was. I really didn't even look into maybe he changed training camps or what he did. But, I mean, he's been on a tear. 7 fights in a row, been looking real good. I don't know if he just, trained a little bit more in his ground game or what he did, but he changed up something to the point where he's getting these wins and he's looking good. So I'm taking Sabata here by a submission. Just seems like that's his new tool that he's been sharpening a lot. So it seems like that's where he's going to go.
All right, and a couple of comments here on YouTube. Joker415, who we've seen on Twitter plenty of times, says, "What I know Kingsbury for is putting a special juice on someone's sushi on Tough." Forgot all about that. Anyway, and then of course on Twitter. Hold up a second. Oh, here we go. See, Andrew Reed says Eddie gets away with it because English isn't his first language. Frederick, however, obviously his first language. So Spanish is my first language. I can get away with mispronouncing bullshit all the time. And then Joker says Sabata looks like he might be taking this, even though from his UFC record, his UFC record is full of finishes from 2. Okay. And then Andrew says, by the way, start calling Struve Orange Boom. Why? Explain that one, dude, because I don't understand that one. I might be way off on this one, but anyway. Yeah. You know what, dude? For me, this one comes down to hometown. Basically everything Don said. Don Cerrone, Bad Motherfucker Ranch, the nickname's KO, and he's at home. It's just the perfect fucking storm, right? And then of course it's gonna help that Greg Jackson's in the house for him because obviously he's there for Holly Holm as well. So I'm gonna take KO on this one as well. All right, go on to the next fight here as we have the Andy's favorite fight here. Jake Matthews, the Celtic Kid against Akbar Arreola El Caballero. Again, I'll say it and I'll keep saying it until the dude stops fighting. I don't understand how there's a Mexican dude named Akbar Areola, but the fight kid Don wants the most is Areola. So
Fine. Then call him by his middle name, Omar.
oh yeah, that helps. Shit.
See?
No, it kind of does actually. And there was a lot of Omars in Mexico. What can I say? Omar. Anyway, the Celtic Kid is 9-1 according to UFC. 23-9-1 for Areola. It's a lot of experience coming from Areola, but dude, if I'm not mistaken, has had a couple bad losses, right? As far as
His last one was Trinaldo.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not a bad loss, really, right? That's an okay loss. Maybe, right?
Not really.
Really?
Well, before that, he submitted Yves Edwards, and then in his first fight in the UFC, lost to Thiago dos Santos de Silva via decision. So he's still an undercard fighter. I don't know how he's not on the Fight Pass prelims, to be honest with you. But meanwhile, Jake Matthews is like the pride of Australia before he got submitted by James Vick. He had a 2-fight win streak in the UFC, beat Deshaun Johnson via submission, and also choked out Wagner Rocha in November last year. So start off here with Jesse. Who you got between the Australian and the Mexican?
I think, again, I'm going to use this word. I think I might use it a couple more times today, is inconsistency.
Mm-hmm.
Areola is so inconsistent. You just don't know what's going on with this guy. He's got the experience. He's got the skill. I like Kyle Noak, I just don't know what guy's gonna step into that octagon that night, you know. And to your guys' point, yeah, Kyle Noak has a lot of, you know, check marks in his little bank, but again, the inconsistency is what gets me, you know. I don't know what it is, you know, what mental blockage both of these guys get, but it's got to be something that they're just not addressing, or just not really, you know, coming into a fight injured, having an injury that they're not confident in. I don't know. There's got to be something that both of these guys aren't really, you know, addressing, that they're being so inconsistent. I think Jake Matthews is going to take this. I don't think it's going to be a very exciting fight, honestly. Just because of Jake Matthews' abilities, I think he's going to make it just one of those, like, dragged out, you know, fights where it's just not going to be exciting. I think he's going to make this like a decision win. Kind of in my opinion, I think this might be one of those crap ways to end the prelims, unless Areola comes in and, you know, takes his head off or does something exciting. So.
All right. Here we go. Another comment here on YouTube. Joker says Matthews is going to be the safe pick. Young, probably in from a single loss and inspired to come back, and he's at home. So yeah, that definitely could be the case. And then Code Blue, of course, comes out with some funny shit. Tweets over, just say it, Frederick sucks, when he talks about Kirby. You know, whatever. Code's funny. And then Andrew says, orangey boom. Hopefully I said that right, Andy. Is how it's pronounced. It's Dutch for orange tree. Struber 611, ergo a tree, and orange is the Dutch national color. Yeah, if I remember correctly, they're the ones that screwed Mexico out of a win at the World Cup, if I'm not mistaken. Giant fuckers. Anyway, yeah, I'm a little bitter about that one. All right, Don, who you got, man? Jake Matthews or Akbar?
Well, to quote Tech Nine, one of my favorite rappers, Areola. But yeah, Matthews is gonna win. Just as much as I want to pick Areola just because of the sickest name in the game. Yeah, I gotta go with Matthews, man. He's 2 years younger than me to the day, and it's the fact that he's hungry. He's gonna be in his town. He shouldn't have been. He was kind of winning that fight against Vic until he got choked. So I think he's gonna do what Jesse said. He's gonna drag it down to the ground. It's gonna be boring, but he's gonna get the win.
All right. Normally, I would bite into the stereotype, or we'll go to the stereotype that Mr. Rubalcaba here goes, and that I pick all the Latinos and shit. But I'm not a big fan of Areola. Of the fighter, Areola. Talk about that other shit later. I think Jake Matthews fighting at home is a huge deal, man. And the guy has plenty of. He's young. He's got plenty of potential, and I think he's gonna show us what he's got tonight. But it's that loss to James Vick was very unexpected. I'll say that much. All right, so I'm taking Matthews in this one as well. All right, moving on to the next fight here. We have that's the end of that was a feature fight in the prelims, FS1 prelims. That's 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. So again, it's a little later than normal for a lot of people, especially if you're, for example, Arizona. It's going to be an hour after California starts, so because you guys are an hour behind us. Anyway, main card only on pay-per-view, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. So expect this shit to go to at least midnight Eastern time, if not longer than that. Because I take it back. There might be some finishes in this one. This might be a quick card. Do you think? So kick off with the very
Probably.
Yeah. Talk about the very first fight. Heavyweight bout between Stefan Skyscraper Struve or Orangey Boom. And that sounds more fucking Dutch, to be honest with you. But I don't know. Against the Big Show, Jared Rosholt, which I was a wrestling fan long enough to know that the Big Show is bigger than this motherfucker. So it's a weird fight. Last time we see Stefan Struve, when he didn't even fight. Remember, he didn't even fight Matt Mitrione because he passed out in the back. That I thought would have been like the last time we ever heard of Struve. And no, he ended up coming back and taking down Big Nog. So be a decision, but Big Nog in Brazil at UFC 190. Let's talk about that fight for a second. Start with Jesse. Was that not a depressing thing to see? See Big Nog lose at home?
Kind of, but I mean, it was depressing because he didn't even go out on his shield. At least if you're gonna lose in your hometown and you're a legend, at least get knocked out, dude. But Stefan didn't even give him that. Like, he didn't even give him that respect. He might as well spit in his face while he was at it. Like, at least let the guy go out on his shield and just kind of give him that hero's goodbye or something. But man, it is terrible. Screw that.
Definitely. Don, what do you think of that fight, man? I mean, I know I was a little depressed to see Big Nog lose in Brazil, man. What do you think of that?
And the way I explain it is it was more depressing than Tito Ortiz's last loss, but less depressing than BJ Penn's last loss.
Oh, for sure.
So I was like, man, this sucks, but yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of the Nogueira brothers.
I just hate to see BJ Penn get destroyed for as long as he did, and the ref wouldn't call it, and his corners wouldn't throw the freaking towel. But that's subject for another show here. All right, let's talk about records here. Stefan Struve is 26-7. Sorry, 30-7 according to the UFC, and 13-2 for it's weird. And Rosholt is 13-2 also according to the UFC. Skyscraper not a really fight win streak. He won his last fight against Big Nog. Before that, lost 2 in a row against Overeem in December 2014. And in March 2013, got TKO by Mark Hunt. He's a tall guy, very long guy, and it still seems like he still can't figure out how to use his jab to keep guys away. So it sucks for him that he's fighting a fucking wrestler who is good at not staying away, right? At coming and grabbing you. Rosholt's fight, 2-fight win streak against Josh Copeland at UFC 185, and at Fight Night 73 beat Timothy Johnson. He TKO'd Copeland, so he can throw, right? It was elbows and punches. And I guess Timothy Johnson was a decision. So let's start here with Jesse. Who you got between the heavyweights? And add in there, if Struve can win, he's 27 years old. Do you give him a longer career and maybe some kind of path to a title at some point or a title shot? Or is Struve at this point, because of the health issues and the fact that he's lost a couple fights here in a row, mind you, against decent names, or do you think maybe Struve is not meant to be a champion at this point?
I don't believe that, honestly. I think that Stefan, if he learns how to use what he has, his tools, he could probably be one of the most dominant fighters around. I mean, look at John Jones. Just alone, the big thing that people talk about is his reach and how he uses it. It's not, his skills all around, which, are pretty big, but it's that reach. You just can't get through that reach. If you try to get close, he's going to pop you with something. And if you break that, first line of defense, he's got his elbows that are, still at a range. So you're eating so many different shots, you don't know what you're going to get hit with. Stefan Struve, on the other hand, he fights so short. I mean, I don't know if you saw the weigh-ins when they faced off. I mean, it looked like, Shaq and his girlfriend. I don't know if you've seen that picture. It's such a height disparity. It's ridiculous. It's it's stupid. These two shouldn't even be fighting. You just imagine Struve, holding his hand out against Rosholt's forehead and just Rosholt swinging away, not hitting anything. but that's the thing. You know, Struve needs to use his range, use like just a lot more of that skill. I don't know if like maybe he just doesn't like to use it or what it is. And the other thing I think that's really like underrated of Struve is his ground game. We've seen it a couple times. You know, he's got long limbs that can catch you from, you know, so many different positions and put you in trouble. Yet we don't see it a lot anymore. For a lot of those reasons, unless, you know, he comes in and really starts to fight long and everything, I think Rochat's got this. I think Rochat's tough enough to eat a couple shots on his way in and just, you know, Mark Hunt it where he's got to probably hop to hit Stefan Struve in the chin and put him to sleep. But I think that's what's going to end up happening here. I think he's going to end up knocking him out.
Definitely. And look, man, Struve's been in the UFC for a very long time. His first fight, in fact, was in 2009 at UFC 95 against JDS, which he lost by TKO in the first round, quite predictably, right? So, or at least as far as now, in hindsight, whatever. And then he has submitted a couple guys. Triangle choke win over Chase Gormley, rear naked choke against Denis Stojanik in 2009, both of those. And more recently, in 2011, triangle choke against Pat Barry, which, let's be honest, probably not that difficult. And then he armbarred LeVar Johnson, which a little more difficult, given the fact that that dude was juiced to the gills when he was fighting in the UFC. So, yeah, but I'm with you, Matt. Stefan Struve, you know, he's got a lot to learn still, I think. I think he, you know, if it's any time to hit his prime, it's now. He needs to start doing it now, and a win tonight will be big for him, I think. Get a little win streak going, get some talk, you know, not talk himself, but get people talking about you, and then see if you can somehow squeeze a title shot out of a heavyweight division that's not very easily, that's not very, what do you call it? That's kind of thin, right? Would you agree with that? Yeah. All right, Don, who you got in this fight, man? Skyscraper against Rochat.
Before I give my pick, I just thought about something. Could you imagine if like Struve spent a good amount of time with Eddie Bravo? How crazy that rubber guard would be.
Yeah, dude.
That would be amazing to see.
That would be great.
All right, but now as far as my pick, I went to Oklahoma State. I'm a huge Rochat fan. Trains with one of my favorite fighters who apparently y'all don't like, Johnny Hendricks. Yeah, so I just go with him because I've seen Struve get knocked out. I've also seen Rochat get knocked out, but Struve doesn't have that power to hit that chin. And plus, yeah, having a long range is going to be good. But when you're a wrestler, you get in that range so fast. He's going to get a takedown. He's going to put him against that cage, and he's going to beat him. When it gets back up to the feet, he's going to knock him out within the second round.
Yeah, all right. All right, man. Here's where I'm calling on this one. I think Stefan Struve learned a lot from his last fight against Big Nog. I think he learned a lot from basically being out for a long time from, you know, the heart issue and, you know, the surgeries that he had to have, and he's a guy that definitely appreciates where he's at now because of the heart issue. Was not supposed to come back to fighting. That was the thought, right? They were talking about him coming back, and then he had a setback, had to, you know, obviously sit out longer. Then he finally got he got the Overeem fight. Got knocked the fuck out hard, and then now he beats Big Nog. Now he gets another shot. So, and on the main card of a pay-per-view, in fact, probably one of the. I think this is going to be 193 is going to be one of the biggest pay-per-views of the year. I think pretty easily. So, all right, moving on to the next fight here. Here's one that I know all three of us are very interested in because of the one of the guys in there. Both guys are really good, by the way, but especially number 10 Uriah Hall, ranked number 10 at 185. And Robert Whittaker is number 14. Uriah Hall is a guy that I've called inconsistent so many times, right? And a lot of people are like, oh, how can you say that? He had a 3-fight win streak. Now he's on a 2-fight win streak. Yeah, but on the 3-fight win streak, it was Chris Lieben, Thiago Santos, and Ron Stallings, okay? Then he loses to Rafael Natal in a fight we didn't expect him to lose, really. And then, you know, coming out of fucking tough after he sent 2 guys to the hospital, lost to Gastelum in the finale. Split decision, I know, split decision, but my boy Kelvin got him. And then lost a split to John Howard, you know, at Fight Night 26. So it's just I'm not a fan of his, but I got to admit that win against Gegard Mousasi was pretty fucking sick, right? The knee, and then, you know, putting him out. I did not think for a second he had a chance against Gegard. But let's start here with Don, man. Do you think Uriah Hall finally found his killer instinct?
I like to say yeah, but I'm gonna let y'all into the reason why I'm picking Whitaker. It's because anytime I pick against Mr. Uriah Hall, he always wins, which is what I really want to happen. So Robert Whitaker, I think you're gonna win this fight. Let's not talk about the fact that I love Uriah Hall just because his technique is so weird. It's like he throws kicks out of nowhere. And I learned the other day, before he actually trained anything, he played Tekken a lot. And he learned how to throw kicks from Tekken, the video game.
That actually explains a lot, to be honest with you. But go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, he's sitting there playing as like Jin and King and just throwing kicks like them. And then he goes to like a karate school, and they're like, "Where'd you learn these kicks?" He's like, I don't know. I just found it somehow." But yeah, just his technique alone, and the fact that I think he's now finally coming into his own as he's not super nice anymore in the cage where he's like, "I'm sorry, I knocked you out." It's now getting to the point of like, "Yeah, motherfucker, what?" That's what I want. Robert Whitaker, you're gonna win. Got it. We all know.
Put it out there in the universe, man. Let that shit get taken care of. Couple comments here before we get to Jesse's pick on YouTube. Joker415 says Struve's comeback over beating Big Nog is certainly not impressive as a comeback win. Favorite leans towards Big Show. Momentum seems to be with him. Then again, Struve has fought way more high caliber fighters than Rosholt has, which is true. And then now talking about Hall, it says yes, this fight tonight will show if he's either still in the game or just a spot filler. And then I think he's talking to me, saying still butthurt from him being. Oh no, Joker's still butthurt from him beating Mousasi. I thought he was talking about me, but I think he might be talking about me. I'm not sure. But Andrew Reed tweets over saying he's going for Struve. He's got Struve, and then says that well, his pick Uriah Hall. He says Hall has it pretty damn quickly too. So well, everyone's going with one indirectly, and Andrew Reed picking Uriah Hall straight up. Jesse, who you got, man?
Oh man, I think I'm gonna be the odd man out here, but I am gonna be picking Whitaker. Mm-hmm. I just think it's too quick of a turnaround for Uriah Hall, number one. And number two, I think we got a glimpse of what Uriah Hall really needs to address is that takedown defense. It's not good. It really is not good. And really, I don't expect Whitaker to come in here with some crazy like takedowns and really utilize that, because that's not his style. His style is, he's going to stand in front of him, he's going to trade, someone's going to fall down, and then, he's going to walk around the cage, beating his chest. But I think the problem is that Uriah Hall needs a lot of space, and he needs just a good distance. He knows how to utilize his distance when he has it. When he doesn't, he kind of gets into this weird, like, trouble where he's trying to figure out how to get that space back. He's either trying to push kick you or he's trying to do things to get you away. And what I noticed that Whitaker's good at is he's good at closing that distance, because he needs to get in there and throw them heavy bombs. And when those heavy bombs land, it's over. And that's what I think is the problem here. And like you said, Eddie, inconsistency. I'm going to use that word again because of the fact that, Uriah Hall is on a 2-win streak. That's great. But still, he didn't look good in his last fight. He didn't look good until he landed that huge shot. And he may say that he had telegraphed it and everything, but that doesn't take away from the fact that had he just missed that shot, he would have just kept getting the same thing. Taken down, grounded out, not really doing anything, just defending until he eventually got caught. So I think he needs a lot still to work on. And I need a good performance out of him tonight to really, jump on the bandwagon and be with you guys. But I think Whitaker's going to knock him out.
All right, a couple more comments here. Joker says, actually, I'm going with Whitaker. Actually, hot call Gegard with that spinning back kick with no distance and telegraph. Okay, but I'm going with Whitaker anyway. Okay, and then here's the thing: Whitaker's on a 3-fight win streak. Mike Rhodes, Clint Hester, Brad Tavares. A knockout of Brad Tavares. But the more impressive, I think, win of all those is Brad Tavares. Uriah Hall is, coming off the win over Gegard. I've been picking against Uriah Hall ever since he got in the UFC. Even in that fight against Kelvin. In fact, even in that fight against John Howard. What?
Eddie, you did really good in that fight, dude. You need a perfect game plan.
What can I say? I ate some tacos before the fight. And I was a little heavier than I was supposed to be. Anyway, he couldn't get out. He couldn't get me off. Anyway, no, you're right. I'm picking Uriah Hall, man. I think this is the start of his killer instinct time of his prime. Speaking of prime, why is your nickname Prime Time, Uriah? Fucking A, dude. Deion Sanders has prime time. Who else is prime time? There's so many prime times out here. Maybe not in the fight game, but in sports overall. Let's be more original with the nicknames. If we're gonna call ourselves something, prime time can't be it for Hall. It needs to be something like fucking ambulance chaser or some weird
darkness.
Darkness. Or you know what? I would go with some shit from like Pulp Fiction or something. Like you know how like Samuel L. Jackson says that long ass speech where he puts a bullet in your face, and you know, is this some cold hard shit? Come up with something super cold, right? As your nickname. I don't know what it would be, but it'd be fucking great. Anyway, I have a beef with nicknames. It's a problem. It's just an issue for me. I don't know why. Anyway, but yeah, I'm picking Uriah Hall, and I think it'll be. I don't think it'll be quickly like Andy says. But I think it's going to be a good fight for at least a round and a half before some, you know, Uriah Hall pulls some spinning shit on Whitaker and takes him out. Which honestly is part of Hall's game that I'm actually excited about seeing is more spinning shit. I kind of wish I had a Nick Diaz while we were watching that fight. Anyway, all right, moving on here to the you could almost make this a co-main, but or at least you wish it was a co-main, kind of. Depending on who's on the juice and who's not. Number 8 heavyweight, the Super Samoan Mark Hunt against Antonio Bigfoot Silva. Let's go through the records, man. Mark Hunt is a two-fight losing streak. One against Fabricio Verdum at UFC 180. A leg replacement. Obviously, Cain Velasquez hurt all the time. Steps in, loses via TKO in the second round. Fabricio Verdum becomes interim champion at that point, before going out to be the outright champion. And then loses against Stipe Miocic via TKO in a fight where Stipe hugged him a lot, took him down, and just elbowed him, and little short shots, but ended up finishing him in the 5th round. So before that, I believe he's only got to knock out Roy Nelson. Is that right?
Second guy,
but that fucking
Arlovsky.
Yeah, oh that's right. But that walk-off knockout though, that was sick. Herb Dean fucked it up a little bit by getting in his way, but that was still sick. So, yeah. Bigfoot Silva, meanwhile, coming off a win over Saul Palele, and Saul Palele now retired after being cut by the UFC. But at UFC 190, won by TKO. Before that, the 2 losses against Frank Mir and Andrei Arlovsky. Before that, the epic fight against Mark Hunt that ended up that ended up as a draw and not overturned even after Bigfoot, I think tested positive for something, right? I think he came in for like a little bit levels of testosterone or something. And then before that, lost to Cain Velasquez in the title fight. So, 36 years old for Bigfoot, 41 for Mark Hunt. Bigfoot 6'4". A lot of these you can go over. These are 2 veterans that we know very well. We've seen them fight plenty. And I'll go first, man. I'm a Mark Hunt fan, and I like the fact that you go on his Instagram. He's been working out at AKA Thailand. He looks smaller. He looks faster. At the weigh-ins, it looked like he hadn't even bothered to cut weight. Normally, he cuts from like 300 pounds. He's a big dude. This time, he ran up the stage shirtless and without pants. He just fucking in his shorts and his underwear and just ran up, jumped on the scale like, ooh, 265. He's like, yeah, that's right. Fucking walked over, did his little, face off with Bigfoot. So I think this is a Mark Hunt that is physically improved. I don't know how much you can improve, how much more you can improve as a fighter at this point. But physically improved. Antonio Silva is not on the juice anymore unless he found a substitution. But I don't think so, especially the way he looked at the weigh-ins. So I think it's gonna be a rough night for Bigfoot, man. I see a classic Mark Hunt overhand right knockout, giving him finally getting him back on the win streak here, or on the winning column. Jesse, who's your pick?
Man, I think we have to go and look to see if KFC took a financial hit the last couple months because Mark Hunt looked in shape. I thought he was going to come in under the weight. I got a little honey-dicked. I thought he was going to come in really in shape, ready to go. But like you said, he looked impressive at those weigh-ins. He looked like he was ready to throw down that day. He didn't look like he was really bad, which we'll talk about later. About a bad weight cut, but I just don't think that Bigfoot Silva has the confidence or has the chin anymore to really stand in there with Mark Hunt. I think motivated Mark Hunt is the most dangerous heavyweight you can see out there, you can find. And I think the bigger problem is I think Mark Hunt knows that he's at the end of his career here. And I think he wants to go out on a big victory in front of his home crowd and really give them a show. And I think he's going to come in here to really put it on Bigfoot. I expect the same Mark Hunt that we saw at the beginning of that Fabricio Verdun fight, where he just comes in, guns a-blazing, trying to put him away. And Antonio Silva's going to crumble under that pressure, and he's going to go out.
All right, Don, man, it's a big heavyweight fight, but it's not really going to be. No one's getting a title shot at this point. I know people are saying they hope Mark Hunt gets a shot again, especially after the last one was basically off of on short notice. But I just at this point it's kind of just like let's hope we get a Mark. What is it? That first fight was so epic. They're hoping to get another one here. We've all seen Dana White wearing the sweatshirt that says Bigfoot against Hunt 2 and all that shit. So Don, who you picking in this fight, man?
I guess I'm going to go against y'all. For some reason, I don't think Mark Hunt's going to take it. I mean, he does look better because he switched to veganism and he's been working out a lot more. But for some reason, I'm getting, as you would say, honey-dicked into thinking that Bigfoot might actually have a chance. I think there might be a takedown and then a submission. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing it. I wouldn't mind a knockout either, but I'm just going to go, this would be my one really big upset, is I think Bigfoot Silva can take it. And then move on to a higher caliber opponent and get knocked out.
Yeah, more than likely. If he's able to beat Mark Hunt, he's getting KO'd by somebody coming up soon. Couple of comments here on YouTube before I make my pick. Joker says Hunt sleeps him. I don't care much for this fight. A lot of people are actually kind of not looking forward to this fight because Bigfoot's not going to be on TRT. At least we haven't been told he's been tested positive for anything. So, but he's not going to be on anything. And Mark Hunt's just fighting on, or used to fight on KFC. He's fighting on vegetables now. So. Got to keep it in mind. I wonder if KFC lost a lot of stock when both DC and Mark Hunt started cutting weight.
DC's a Popeyes fan, man.
Yeah, DC Popeyes.
KFC fucked up. All right. Anyway, they got to come up with something. And then Andy says he's going with Hunt on Twitter. So, wow. I've actually just saw a tweet that says, fuck you, Ronda, hashtag UFC 193. Wow. That's... The hatred for Ronda Rousey doesn't make sense to me right now. Anyway, we'll talk about that fight in a second. Let's move on to the co-main event of the evening, the championship strawweight title fight between champion Joanna Jędrzejczyk. I probably fucked that up. Joanna champion, sorry, against number 8 Valerie Letourneau, who was I think she was unranked or ranked like over 10, and out of nowhere she's number 8. Just out of nowhere. So. UFC, you funny, silly motherfuckers. Anyway, Joanna, obviously undefeated 10-0, took the title from Carla Esparza. After winning what I think, I got to see it live. I thought it was a controversial split decision win over Claudia Gadelha. I thought Claudia won that fight. You know what I mean? It was split. It was very close. You could have gone either way with it, and I wasn't really disappointed when Joanna won. But I thought for sure Gadelha got that win. But we'll get to see him again pretty soon, pretty sure. Valerie Letourneau gets the title shot after beating Marina Moroz via decision at Fight Night 74. And it's honestly, I think, because Gadelha had a busted hand, supposedly, right? So, UFC wants to make a fight where it's a main and co-main are women's fights. And you got the 2 female champions. You got to get them together. So it's that's a fight we get this time. Letourneau was a bantamweight, says Joker. And he goes. Joker says, jazz. He puts jazz hands in. He's doing jazz hands now, like this shit, I guess. JJ is my second favorite female fighter after Tate. Ronda doesn't rank in the top 2 for this guy. So good, I guess. Anyway. All right, so here with Jesse, man. Joanna champion against Valerie Trouble Letourneau. 2 stand-up fighters. Not going to be much of a ground game, I don't think, against Valerie. I mean, unless Valerie, coming out of top team, trains with Hector Lombard. By the way, Hector Lombard not allowed to corner her. She's very upset about that because Lombard has been suspended, and when you're suspended, you cannot corner anybody for some reason. So, also affecting Nick Diaz and everybody else that's been suspended. So, Joanna champion against Valerie Letourneau. Jesse, who you got?
Man, I don't know, man. I'm gonna say Joanna's gonna win this. I just don't think it's gonna be as like soul crushing as a lot of people think it's gonna be. I think Letourneau has that toughness in her, and I think this is gonna be more like a Jessica Penne fight, where she's just gonna stand in there and she's just gonna keep herself uh, alive long enough to last maybe like two, three, maybe even a fourth round, just because she's tough. Does she have a chance to win? I really don't think so. I mean, look at her wins when she started her career, and look at her wins currently. They're not anything impressive anymore. You know, she's not really. She doesn't really have any skills that you could really point to that are gonna give Joanna trouble or Johanna. And I kind of agree with you and kind of don't agree with you with that Claudia Gadelha fight. I think Joanna just was barely getting used to this new like octagon, and it was like an octagon jitters type thing for me. And I think we got a different type of fight out of her. I think she tried to show that she could, defend those takedowns, could really work in another person's guard, and I think that's why we got such a close fight. I think if they fight again, it'll be an exciting fight, but I don't think it'll be as close. And I think she's the only one that can really challenge Joanna in this division. Honestly, I don't think anybody else really stands a chance. But going back to Letourneau here, she's got to do something different. If you look at all of her fights, she kind of does basically the same thing over and over again, over and over again. Really, just only makes very minor tweaks to her game. And I think for her to really do something, good in this fight, she's got to come out different. But again, I just don't think she, at her age and her skill set, I just don't think she has anything in her little toolbox that that she hasn't utilized before that is going to surprise Joanna. So I think we'll see like a third or fourth round here, but it's she's going to need surgery after this for sure.
Jesus, with the fucking morbid ass prediction. You gonna need surgery in your face, chick. Yeah. Anyway, a couple comments here from Joker on the YouTube here. Letourneau was a bantamweight. Gadelha has fought both actually, and actually Letourneau was defeated by Gadelha. Then apparently Claudia picked JJ to win because Letourneau's cut is so taxing. If you guys saw her at the weigh-ins, Letourneau looked really, really, really bad. Like, I'm sure it's a bad cut for her every time, pretty much. But this time around, to me, she didn't look like she was gonna be able to stand on her own, once she got off the scale. And then Joker says he thinks JJ won the fight over Gadelha because JJ was doing damage while Gadelha was just trying to hold her. Very possible. Andrew Reed on the Twitter saying, sadly, JJ will destroy Valerie. I like Valerie, but she has no chance. And I'm going with Andrew here. I think JJ is just too strong. Just too technically perfect almost, right? They keep calling her the best striker in the UFC. I tend to kind of agree pretty much. She's just too good. Mind you, of course, you talk about her competition, whatever. But you also bring that people also bring that up with Ronda Rousey. But Don, man, who you got in this fight?
I got Joanna Jędrzejczyk as well. I mean, she's just so damn good on her feet, man. It's crazy to watch. In a way, she's kind of like the female Fedor because she's good at just one thing so devastatingly that nobody else can really fuck with her. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you try to stand with her, you're going to get destroyed. If you try to take her down, there's no way to. Her takedown defense is also the best in that division. So I just see it might be a long fight, but I really don't know when it's going to happen. I just don't see this fight going to decision. I see it being a slugfest and then a knockout at some point. And unfortunately, Letourneau, like Jesse said, very morbidly, going to need surgery on your face.
At least we'd have to get that nose, probably. Anyway, all right. Let's.
Might be a good thing, man. Might be a good thing.
I don't know. Look, man, if she wasn't so worn out from fighting so much, maybe like a facelift and she'd be kind of hot. So.
See, there you go. See, this might be the key to her getting that in BAM.
That's fucked up.
Hector back in the game. Hey, we need to calm down because on the off chance Hector Lombard hears this, I'm scared shitless of that guy. I ain't getting fucked with. So, Valerie, you're gorgeous. Man. You're a gorgeous woman, Valerie. You don't need any work to you. Hector, don't kill me.
All right. We've arrived at our main event, ladies and gentlemen. The champion, Rowdy Ronda Rousey, taking on the challenger, number 7, Holly, the Preacher's Daughter Holm, could have sworn she picked that because when I first heard about this, she picked that because of the movie. Like, I think it's like in the 90s or something. But no, it turns out she's actually legitimately a preacher's daughter. So, you know.
Ooh.
Well, works out for her. Hey, look, man, maybe she has Jesus behind her. I don't know. Anyway, Jesus behind Holly Holm and Nick Diaz behind Ronda Rousey. Who you picking? Who you picking? All right.
That's a trick question because Nick Diaz is Jesus.
Woo, there you go. Nick Diaz is Jesus. I thought for sure that guy was trying to fucking grow a beard. No, it's just some weird shit he's got going on. Anyway, sorry, off topic. Moving on. Both fighters undefeated. Ronda coming off a knockout win over Bethe Correia. Ronda's last 4 fights have been in first round wins. 3 knockouts, 1 submission, and then of course the 3-rounder against Miesha Tate. And she beat everybody. She hasn't lost, obviously. But Holly Holm's wins, I think, are a little telling. Okay, and I'll tell you why. The Raquel Pennington fight was a split decision win, and I thought Raquel won that fight. You know what I mean? And then Marion Reneau, she, you know, whatever. Holly's a point fighter. It just seems to be like she's a point fighter. She's still boxing, right? She hasn't shown much of a ground game at all. And I think Ronda's gonna expose that. But let's get you guys' thoughts first. Starting here with Dawn.
She really, Holly. Holly really reminds me of a can't think of his name, Neil Magny kind of thing, where it seems like she hits you enough to sway the judges. Like you're saying, that's a point fighter. It's just like she's in a Taekwondo tournament. She throws a couple good head kicks, that's a couple points, it's over. Rousey, on the other hand, she does this thing called fucking bitches up, where she goes in there with a Nick Diaz, Diego Sanchez face and fucking kills you. Holly Holm will be her hardest competition, yes, but we said that about Correia, Zingano, Alexis Davis, Miesha Tate twice, all those people. All those people are supposed to be her hardest competition. I don't see this being anything like that. I see this being maybe a second round, she's going to flip her on her back and take her arm because Holmes, apparently, her ground game is something that is so underrated, no one knows about it. But we all know about Rousey's ground game. It's fucking second to none. Holm, I respect you a little bit, but what you did at the weigh-ins kind of pissed me off too. So Rousey, what you did at the weigh-in pissed me off. You don't punch a bitch right in the face at the weigh-ins. unless you're what's his name? Unless you're Michael Bisping and you're calling a guy a cunt at the weigh-ins, then I'm okay. I'm okay with a couple things, but not punch a bitch in the face. You don't do that at the weigh-ins. So I think Rousey's gonna take her arm and take it home.
All right, Joker. That's funny. You don't punch a bitch in the face. That's funny. Joker saying Ronda Rousey wins easily. Holm hasn't even fought a top 10 fighter yet from bantamweight, and neither did Bethe Correia. This could be a case of just not enough competition in the UFC for Ronda to really be tested by anybody. But Andrew Reed saying Holly with the upset, and I think just because he's tired of hearing about Ronda Rousey. But we'll talk about that in a second. About Rousey's popularity. But Jesse, who are you picking in this fight, man?
All right, so I've always said 2 things. One, the outside influences are major. All right, and 2, there's only been, well, there will only be after tonight 2 opportunities that people have had to beat Rousey. The first opportunity came when she first fought in the UFC. That was the best chance someone had to beat her because she was new, she was, nervous. She had a lot on her shoulders that time. She almost got caught. Liz Carmouche took her back, tried to choke her. She almost had her boobie exposed. Whatever, man. It wasn't one of those fights where she was just completely dominant. She still won that fight, but she got in trouble. And to me, it was because of all the outside influences that was on her. Tonight is the next time someone has an opportunity to beat her. The question is it enough to overcome the skill set that Ronda Rousey has? I don't see it. I don't see Holly Holm having enough skill to overcome what Ronda Rousey is. The only thing is that with all the outside stuff happening, her coach being in major trouble, what we know so far about his tax problems or his bankruptcy and all that, her personal life being out there, You know, there's a lot of things. And then I don't know if you guys saw the weigh-ins. She looked like she had a really bad weight cut, more so than she normally does. She looked super drawn out. Her lips were really badly chapped and dry. You know, and the way she was talking, I mean, I understand a lot of people are pointing out that she got, you know, over emotional about what happened at the weigh-ins and, you know, started talking crap to Holly Holm saying that she's fake and, you know, she's going to make her pay for it. But, you know, to that I say, when has she ever put a lid on her emotions? Never. You know, that's her. But, I mean, that weight cut looks like it took a lot out of her. And I think that's an indicator that she has a lot of stuff on her mind. I think a lot of that stuff she has to put out of her mind and really go in there with that I'm going to kill this bitch face that she always, you know, comes with. And if she can do that, to me, she'll be the best in the world. Hands down, nobody's going to be able to beat her because everything she has to overcome tonight is going to be big. Holly Holm on the other side, she's got to be that prospect that we saw a long time ago when she was fighting in the regional circuits, you know, those knockout head kicks that she had, that explosive, you know, style that she had of, you know, coming in and, like, you know, she had this weird, like, jumping in karate boxing weird mix where, you know, she would try to point you, and then when you get comfortable in there, she'd start throwing these heavy head kicks, or she'd start throwing those heavy overhand rights, start really working her uppercuts and the body. So that's the Holly we need to see in this fight if she wants to have a chance. Does she? I don't know, man. To me, it's one of those things where I would not really put money on this fight because anything can happen. And just Ronda Rousey's mindset is just too volatile for me to really say 100% she's going to walk out of here, you know, in a first round victory. Again, I don't care what everybody else is saying right now because I see the Twitter going crazy.
Yeah.
But I mean, you guys have to admit there's so much stuff on her shoulders that, you know, it is a factor. It's a factor, and this is the opportunity that someone has, an opening, you know, a crack in the door that somebody can try to run through. So is Holly Holm able to do that? We'll find out. I don't think so, but we'll find out.
Tell you what, speaking of the Twitter thing, yeah, everyone's kind of going to Andrew at this point. At Dave Madden, at D Madden MMA, you should follow him, by the way. He's a great writer. At D Madden MMA. Saying big buzzer on that one, Andrew. Code, of course, being Code Blue, that's what he does. He says, quote, you have gone mental. Are you taking a piss? No idea what it means. Heard it on a movie. And then Andrew basically telling everyone to shut the fuck up. And then Mike Jarvis saying not a chance, basically saying that you know Ronda's gonna win. And then Joker on YouTube says Ronda Rousey might be nuts outside the cage, but inside the cage she's almost flawless. Okay. This fight is Ronda Rousey to lose, and she's not gonna lose, right? I'm with Jesse. The outside influences definitely have been playing a factor in this. So we'll talk about this in a second too, because it's important, right? From the whole bullshit where people were writing all these blogs out of nowhere, by the way, apparently it took months for everyone to finish the book, Ronda Rousey's book, so I don't feel too bad that I'm only 3/4 of the way through it. So everyone give me shit about it, you shut the fuck up. But it took everybody else months to finish it because they waited until now to start talking about, oh, you know, she committed domestic abuse or whatever. She beat up her boyfriend or ex-boyfriend at the time, or boyfriend at the time. You know, for the nude pictures and all that shit. And then, you know, she just came out saying that was self-defense and that her lawyers looked into it and that was self-defense. So cool, she put it in the book. You know, but it was, you know, that, the Travis Brown thing, that was huge. If you guys listen to the UFC 193 conference call, she hung up when they asked her about it. And then at the open workout, somebody asked her about it again, and she just very loudly and kind of put a little stank on it, goes, next question. You know, just moves on. So the outside shit's getting to her. But is it enough to actually bother her in the cage? Hell no. It's not. Now, mind you, at the weigh-ins, it did look like Holly Holm put her fist in her face. Now, Ronda Rousey did get right in her grill, man. Ronda Rousey went in there, charged into that fucking stare down, got right in there, and almost maybe got too close to Holly Holm's fist instead of Holly Holm's fist coming at Rousey, you know what I'm saying? But whatever. And I said this yesterday on Periscope. Either Holly Holm just woke up an angry giant, or Holly Holm just exposed an emotional little girl. One or the other, right? and I think she woke up a giant because Ronda Rousey, we never seen her in the cage be unfocused. In the cage, she is as focused as you've ever seen. But what's funny, Jesse?
Nah, I'm just watching everybody just take shots at for Andy.
Andy's taking it on fucking Twitter. You know what? Here's the thing about Andrew Reid. If you guys don't follow him on Twitter at Revelation137, part of the musing show, dude's fucking hilarious. He can handle himself on Twitter, please believe. All right, that dude will take everybody that's going at him. He'll take him out with a fuck off meme, no problem. Anyway, Brown came. Oh, stupid. Joker made this. Joker on YouTube says the Brown, as in the Travis Brown. The Brown came out of her at the weigh-ins last night. So, well, you know, maybe. Well, I'm sure he got in there at some point, you know, but I don't know what came out. Anyway, so you know, I'm picking Ronda Rousey. You know, it's incredibly difficult, near impossible to pick against her. Even if she was fighting someone like Cyborg, I would still pick Ronda Rousey. And you know, it's Ronda's so good. And let's get into, you know, now that our picks are done, let's get into it a little more. You know, Jesse, do you think, because a lot of people dislike Ronda. There's people on Twitter that I've seen for the past week and a half, maybe 2 weeks almost. Obviously, the whole build-up, it has been mostly this week. You know, UFC's YouTube, UFC's Twitter, everybody on Twitter talking about it. People are saying, I'm so sick of Ronda Rousey, I hope Holly Holm beats her so we don't have to hear about her anymore, right? Do you think that Ronda is just that damn good, or is her competition that damn bad that she's, you know, that she just murks girls left and right, and thus people talk about her as the best fighter on the planet?
Can I say a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B? I just look. We can talk about this in the sense that the emotions that Ronda Rousey uses to get in there and really be that aggressive chick that we all like to see is one of those things that she needs. You know, she uses that. She channels that into, you know, beating the hell out of somebody, you know, knocking out Betch Correa, and then, you know, waiting for her to wake back up to tell her don't cry. You know, things like that, gangster things like that she does, but she uses her emotions to really drive that forward. You know, again, if she's able, like, if you had a gun to my head and told me you pick who the winner is, I'm gonna go Ronda Rousey. You know, there's just no way you can pick against her with everything that, you know, the skill to skill, everything. But it's the outside things that for me make it a question. You know, but again, like I said, if she's able to overcome every single thing that's going on in her life, all the pressures, everything, put that away and come in and take Holly Holm out, I don't think any chick in the world is going to want to fight Ronda Rousey after this. They're just going to be like, well, maybe I'll fight Miesha Tate, or maybe I'll fight somebody else. Because, you know, again, like I said, this is the possibly the only and last chance people have of really beating Ronda. Because once she gets past this point and wins, she's going to have so much confidence behind her that you're just not going to be able to beat her. Even on her worst day, it's just not going to happen.
And she talks like that too. She goes, to be a champion, you got to be so good that even on your worst day, they have no shot at beating you. It's like, that's a damn champion mindset, man. Dude, they're going at Andrew on Twitter, dude. So Mike Jarvis tweets over, Andrew needs to puff pass. And then Dave says, after an episode of Musing Idiots, Andy's show, I'm surprised you go with the preacher's daughter. And Andrew, of course, being Andrew comes out, you're all dribbling idiots. That's kind of how it works. So, you know, Andy's got that one punch KO power on Twitter at least. Oh, geez, code. What the fuck? Okay, well, I'm not going to read that one right now. Anyway, so yeah, it's, you know, and Don, you know, it's just Ronda Rousey's just too damn crazy. You know what I mean? But do you think, because she talks about the champion mentality offends people, and it pisses people off, and it makes people root against her. I mean, do you agree with that? I mean, she has a champion mindset, quite obviously, right? But do you agree with that? That's the reason people hate her?
I think people hate her because they don't really understand kind of like what it is to be a champion. I mean, you're going to be outside the cage, you're going to be cocky, you're going to be arrogant, you're also going to be nice. You gotta basically appease everybody. And there's always going to be that one or a couple thousand, maybe a million people who look at you and they're just like, I don't like how you change emotions so easily like that. I don't like how you're nice to this little girl and yet you'll tell a grown man to fuck off. I don't like that. I don't like the fact that you walk into the cage, you're this killer, but then when you win, you're humble. It's kind of like her and Conor McGregor have the same kind of thing where outside you talk to them just normal people, they're probably really nice. You talk to them in front of a camera, they're going to turn it up because they're the champion. They have to sell this fight. And it's the fact that she's finally breaking the barrier between just fighting and regular people. My nieces know who she is, and they've never seen an MMA fight. They want to be like Ronda because they see her making millions of dollars a year in these movies. And when you hit that point, people are going to be like, oh, you're too exposed. I don't like you. And most of the time it's MMA fans. It's the people who have watched her grow up. They're like, oh, well, you're selling out now. We don't like you no more. Yeah. They just need to just appreciate the fact that we're seeing something special that in maybe 3 years we probably will never see again. Once she's gone, it's going to be kind of hard to find someone who is as dominant as she was. She is just like the perfect fighter and almost like the person outside the cage. Granted, she can get overexposed, and I think that's why she's taking these next few months off after this fight.
Definitely. And you know what? I'm with you on that. She's you know, I hate. I'm a big
Who just
Joe
said that, Eddie?
What?
Who just posted that? Somebody wrote that if somebody has the champion mentality at home. Andy wrote that?
Andy says,
okay.
yeah, Andy says if anyone has champion's mentality, home does. 19-time boxing and kickboxing champion, Ronda just got a bronze. In the Olympics?
Is he already drunk? Is he drunk already?
No, you know, it isn't. I'm pretty sure it's nighttime in England, but
I agree with Chell in what he said. Boxing is a weird thing to call yourself a 19-time world champion.
Yep.
You know what? If you heard his last podcast, he was talking about how at the end of every single event in a boxing match, they put a belt around somebody's waist.
Yep.
Whether it be gym rat champion of the week or gym rat champion of the month, whatever it is, they're always crowning champions. Not to say she's not a great boxer, women's boxer. She was. She made ring woman of the year or whatever. Like a year or two, what was it, 1 year or 2 years in a row or something like that?
Something like that too, I think.
You have to respect her skills, but to really harp on the fact that she's a 19-time world champion, that don't mean shit. She's not going to stand there with her feet, spread apart, just throwing haymakers and fists and jabs, because Ronda Rousey's just going to take her legs and she's going to get screwed. This is not boxing. That doesn't translate to this sport. So you can throw that crap out the window. It's a completely different skill set that she needs to be in this fight. But yeah, Andy, stop whatever you're doing, man. Stop trolling people.
Man, I think Andy's just tired of the Ronda Rousey, hype. It's kind of real hype, bro. But
he's gonna get a break from her until what is it, July or whatever.
What?
Right, that's what she says. She's gonna take a break until
so 200 about 6 or 7 months, I think, break.
Yeah. Be happy with that. Go watch your movies.
Joker reminds me of some shit that happened a while ago. It was hilarious. Joker on YouTube says, Chael also gave out Chad Mendes' personal number for not returning a call, then blamed it on sleepwalking. Can't take that guy too seriously. That was fucking hilarious. Okay.
Hey man, I love that guy. That guy is hilarious.
Chael's son is funny as fuck. And the fact that he gives less of a fuck now that he's not fighting anymore is great. Yep. He's like, oh, you don't want to answer my call? Hey, bitch. What's up? Andrew says, IBF, WBA, WBO are not any old belt. Right, but no one gets taken down in boxing. But I mean, it could happen. Maybe. So anyway, all right, that's going to do it for us today. This is your preview show. We are about an hour and 30 minutes away from UFC Fight Pass prelims. Because they're at 4 p.m. Arizona time, or 4:15 p.m. Arizona time, and it's 2:47 right now. So about an hour 15 minutes away, or hour and 30 minutes away from the Fight Pass prelims. Again, give you guys the times. Fight Pass prelims start at 6:15 p.m. Eastern, 3:15 Pacific. Then FS1 on television 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, and the main card on pay-per-view, 8 p.m. or 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific time. So it's gonna be a late night for everybody, pretty much, except for the guys in California. And you guys will get exactly. And everybody else is gonna have a late night. So enjoy it. Go out with your friends. This is one of those cards that you probably buy with all your buddies at home because going to a party night's gonna suck. And you better get there for the the very first FS1 prelim and just sit your ass there for 6 hours or so, or 5 hours, or however long it's gonna be, because the second you get up, someone's definitely taking a seat to watch the pay-per-view. So yeah. It's gonna do it for our preview today. Thanks everyone that watched. Joker, thanks for the comments on YouTube. Andy, Coach for being hilarious, honestly. Oh shit, Joker on Twitter says whoever this Andy guy is, tell him to holler at me, haha. And then, thanks to Mike Jarves, appreciate you watching, man. Thanks to everybody else that watched. Retweet this if you'd like. You can follow us. Jesse's at Spawat, SPWAT 1983. Don is at Don, the MMA guy. Still the same?
Yeah, I haven't changed it. I'll change it probably in like 3 weeks or something.
All right, let us know. And then Nick didn't make it, but you can follow Nick at NickXMicro and just totally shit on him at some point because it's fun. And then follow me at Elon31. The page is at CrossBonesMMA. CrossBonesMMA.com is now daily updated, so you will always find some new shit on there. Jesse just posted for all our Spanish speakers, posted an article about Crow Cop on there. You guys should definitely check out. And we post all the weigh-ins, the post-fight press conferences, all that shit. So definitely go to CrossBonesMMA.com, and of course, as always, hit the if you haven't yet, hit the subscribe button somewhere down here, and you get our shit automatically. So thanks Don for coming on. Thanks Jesse. Thanks everyone for watching. We'll catch you guys. On Sunday night for the Spanish show. Encerrados en la Jaula. And then, on Tuesday for Keyboard Warriors. Otherwise, enjoy the fights tonight and have a good weekend.